Chronicles of Elyria is one of the first new massively multiplayer emergent online living worlds. It's something different than what we've seen before. It's kind of a completely new genre for an environment that allows players to experience an ongoing immersive story where they're not only actors and agents in the story, but they actually have control of the narrative in a way that makes them feel like there's a reason for them to log in every single day. The Soulborn engine, at its core, is designed to be a system that pays attention to what's going on in the world around it. And as players do things, whether or not that's gather a lot of wealth, wander from one village or settlement to another, farm their fields, whatever the players are doing, the engine pays attention to that and use that as an opportunity to spin fantastic story arcs that can really change up what the player was planning to do.
You can build something, you can destroy something, you can craft something, you can do combat. All of these different options are available to you, but there's also a purpose to what you're doing in the game. It's good storytelling to put people in uncomfortable situations or to push them beyond their limits. And that's, I think, what is really going to set Chronicles of Elyria apart.
The idea with most MMOs is that they're either theme park or sandbox games, but they're really two sides of the same coin. So what we're trying to do with Chronicles of Elyria is to create a world where, through the player's actions, they have not only a strong narrative that's created by us as well as through them, but they have a reason to use the toys in the sandbox.
Design has a pretty deep requirement for this game, which is good because it creates a platform for the players to be able to have a deep level of customization for their characters, and this helps kind of create that level of immersion and get the players engaged in their game. You get to pick out your undergarment. You can wear a pair of pants and wear a shirt, and then on top of that we can have armor, we can have customized insignias and embroidery.
What you're crafting depends on what it's made of, the tribe you come from, their method of crafting things. It still has to be consistent with that tribe. We reference the real world, of course, then try to integrate whatever it is we create that's custom to Elyria into that real world feel in a seamless way, visually as well as within the technical limitations of game development. Any project you embark on, you're going to be faced with a lot of puzzles to solve. Whatever choice we make helps solve that puzzle, not create more pieces.
The things that you do in the world and the activities that you take on can affect your body state. So we're taking into account overeating or being in an area where there's not a lot of food. And some tribes tend to be in an area where it's more lush and they are going to eat better, or there's tribes in areas where they have to lift a lot of stuff and they're buff. And so our character in the world, our actual asset, is the same asset that we would use for all 12 tribes and all different types of body systems. So this would allow us to extend this one asset into any type of look that we want to do for the game.
To make animations feel real in Chronicles of Elyria, we pull from a lot of video reference, as well as all the animators shoot mocap. Since our game isn't super stylized or cartoony, we can pull from a lot of video reference of animals, otters, bears, rabbits, dogs, cats, everything. We'll make various sets of animations for the animals: idle, grazing, alerted, attacks, death.
If we're trying to create a game that's different than the other games that are out there, we have to go about doing it in a different way. And if we follow the same formulas, we're going to end up with a game that costs us the same amount to make, and it's going to be just as expensive, require just the same number of people, and it's also going to come up with a product that's very similar in the end game. And we want something that's different. We're actually developing our MMORPG, for lack of a better term, with multiple clients. One that's our Unreal client that allows the players to get in and see the world in that kind of rich, very dark and gritty and high fidelity Unreal look. It looks really good, it feels very realistic, but at the same time we have another version of the client we're working on, which is a simpler voxel based client that's actually web based, and that one is actually important from a studio perspective because it allows us to define gameplay mechanics, features of the engine and things like that very, very quickly and get it in the hands of the players so that they can give us feedback as early as possible.
Our iteration speeds are very much a focus of our engine development. We want to make sure that we're not having to bring down the entire tech stack and start it back up anytime we fiddle with game variables or oftentimes even game code. That means we have to parse the changes that happen, apply them to the entities in the scene, so we have that working flushed out through the server and the client, which really speeds up our game development process.
Chronicles of Elyria is a game that so far is about a year in active development. We've got a team of experienced engineers, content creators, artists, and animators. The majority of our leadership team have actually worked on multiple MMOs themselves in the past, and we're really looking forward to getting this in the hand of the players so that they can see what it is that we're trying to create and so they can realize our vision.
We want to make sure that people are not just players of the game, but they are also contributors to the project.
We have a very committed community. Even though we're only about 150,000 online members in our registered website, they're still actively engaged in what we're doing, and they're already playing the Dance of Dynasties. The politicking and intriguing that happens in Chronicles of Elyria that allows the aristocracy and the nobility to kind of move around. It's kind of the game inside of the game, but it's that game that people want to play who are knights, noblemen, and noblewomen, and they're already playing that. We've got kings and queens and dukes and duchesses that have pledged to be part of those kingdoms and are already actively recruiting people in their communities to come and join the community. A lot of games have come and gone, and really what makes an MMO successful long term is that critical mass, especially at launch. And if we can reach that critical mass where we've got enough gravity that players really feel like they can stay there, that they can call it home, then I think that's going to make all the difference.
This is a rare opportunity for the studio and the community, players and fans, to create something together that is going to change the world. Not just Elyria, but probably Earth as well. We haven't found anything that does exactly what Chronicles of Elyria is trying to do, or what Soulbound Studios is trying to achieve. But the team here is totally committed to getting this dream out the door in player hands, and to experience a renaissance of the role-playing genre where you actually play a role of your choosing. And that's our gift to the world and ourselves.